So here's another reason why Clermont is also known as Gem of the Hill. Obviously, you don't get to see this type of view anywhere in Florida that I know of. Obviously, I came from Miami, where this is something that you will never see. Miami is 100% flat. You have no hills at all. So when I first visited Clermont, Florida, I was enamored with this place. With a view like this, how can you not fall in love with Clermont? Hello friends, today we're going to be hanging out at Clermont, Florida. Clermont, Florida is a historic city, established 1884. I'm very excited to go in there. I'm going to be doing some picture comparisons from building from back in the day. I'm talking about the early 1900s to today. We're also going to be visiting historic village located near downtown Clermont. I'm very excited to get in there. Come join me and let's go have a wonderful day. Here on the corner of 7th Street and West Montrose Street, right there in that corner, stood the very first Publix that ever came to Clermont, Florida. Back in 1948, the founder of Publix, George Jenkins, purchased a small chain of grocery stores called All American. And so outside of Winter Haven, right there in that corner, stood one of the very first Publix. And so right there in that corner, this is what the Publix looked like. Just like that, right there in that very same corner. Now, if you look at the photograph, there's also one thing that you don't see here anymore, is that traffic light. That traffic light right there. Right now, it is a four-way stop, but I'm going to show you other photographs from back in the day that kind of proves that there was a traffic light right here. And there's also another photograph from another angle that kind of confirms that that Publix stood right there in that corner. Here is another angle of the Publix right over there. And if you pay close attention to the right, there's kind of like a little window there. There's a building with a window. On the very corner of that building, you kind of see a little bit that it's a little bit darker, and you can actually kind of see it kind of dip down a little bit towards where it's very hard to see. I mean, but over here, you can see there on the corner, there's like a little dark spot, but you definitely see a window there. And I'm going to show you where that window is, which is actually on that building over there. So yeah, the Publix actually stood right here in this corner from 1948 all the way through 1965. In 1965, Publix built a new location over on State Road 50. And actually, George Jenkins ended up donating the building to the city of Clermont, which they used as a civic auditorium. And this is the building that you can see on the right-hand side on the photograph I just showed you. And you can see right there, there is a window. You can also see that there's another window over there, which is the window that kind of shows up on the actual photograph right there, that window there. So, you know, I was looking for photographs from back in the day for that Publix, but it was just so hard. There was only 2 photographs that I can find. There's a couple of websites that kind of give you information. There was one that I found that kind of actually gave me the exact location of where this Publix actually stood, which is right here in this same corner. Another building here in this corner that has been here for quite some time is this building over there, which can actually be seen over here. This photograph is from back in the 50s. And obviously, I think this building has had some change, except for this right here. You can see that little kind of pyramid sticking upwards. You can see it right there on that building there as well. But that building over there was the first bank to ever come to Clermont, Florida. And it is pictured over here also, right over there. And there's that traffic light again, which again, there is no traffic light now. It is a four-way stop, but there was a traffic light here in this corner. Let me show you another photograph of back in the day when the first traffic light actually came to Clermont, Florida. And here is an ad from back in the day of the First National Bank, same building right there. I love the middle. It says Small enough to know you, large enough to protect you. Very cool. And here is that photograph. Here is the very first traffic light that actually stood right there in this corner. Before they hung up on power cables there, they actually were on the floor. This is the very first traffic light, I think, in all of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe if I remember reading it correctly, I know for sure it is the first traffic light that came to Clermont, Florida. But if I'm not mistaken, it probably was one of the first, maybe in Central Florida. Not so much Florida, but maybe Central Florida, but definitely in Clermont. And this is the same Montrose Street that you see today, right over here. That traffic light stood right there. Obviously, there was no break. That is so cool. So over here in this building, I actually found some information right here in this corner. And it says, Historic Clermont, 743, 745, and 757 Montrose Street. And it goes on to read, on this site stood the Tarpey store in 1885. Look at that right there. Amazing. It goes on to say, Joseph and Elizabeth Tarpey arrived from England, right? Leeds, England. Mr. Tarpey owned and operated a small general store that stood in the middle of the block until 1910. For many years, buildings along Montrose Street were the sites of grocery stores that include A&A, Publix, there's the Publix, and Reddick's in the mid to late 50s. And then it goes on to say a little bit more information. This store that you see here was actually Hank's Electric, and you can actually see the sign here. This is an old, very old vintage sign over here. It says Hank's Electric. Love that vintage sign, but unfortunately they have closed for business. This business had been here for a real long time, but obviously it has closed down for business. You can see it boarded up. You can see the paper on the windows. You can actually see the name of the business there, and it's unfortunate, you know, they stood here for a long time, but you know, they closed down for business. But obviously this building has seen a lot of changes. They remodeled it back in the day, and it's a shame. You can obviously see that it's been abandoned, completely gutted. And actually this territory used to be mine, and I used to work this territory a lot, and I used to visit it. So it's been quite some time since it's been empty, obviously vacant. And you know, I wonder how many people walk through this door. I mean, this location has been here for a real long time. I'm sure a lot of people have walked through these doors. Very cool. Now it looks like they didn't close. Please visit us for parts at our new location. So they actually moved to 50. Just like Publix moved to 50, these people moved to 50 also. Cool. It's good to know that at least they're still in business. Here on the corner of 8th Street and Montrose Street, you're going to find this building right there, which has actually stood the test of time. This photograph over here, you can see it right there. You can obviously match it up. Got all the windows match up perfectly. Has been here for a real long time. Not sure exactly when this building was built. I'm gonna kind of walk around and see if I can see some type of plaque. But I know that based on the vehicles that you see here, this is probably the 20s, 1920s, 1930s, but that building has been there for a long time. Now, one thing to see on this photograph, for example, you do see the building right next to it. It's right next to it. You see the building there with the signage, which is that brick building. This one here was added on later, and I'm gonna show you a photograph of when it was here, an old photograph. But yeah, that building right there is this one here. Been here for a long time. I actually have quite a few photographs of that building, and I'm gonna show you different angles. Here is the building as we stand right in front of it, and here is a photograph from back in the day. You can actually still see the awning there. So that awning is original from back in the day. Wow, it's just amazing how old this building is. Obviously back in the day it used to just be one color. Now you have a couple of businesses there, so one painted it white and one kept it the original color. But that's the building right there. Very cool. Now this photograph over here is from the 70s. You can see the building right there. You can obviously see the other building, and then here's that newer building back in the 70s. So I'm assuming they added that building back in the 1970s. There it is, and let me go ahead and show you. It's it right there. Right there. Very cool. One interesting thing that you can see about this building is that back in the day, it actually had a balcony, and it looked like right there is the door to exit the building onto the balcony. And actually they turned that door, which is you see right there, into a window. But this is pretty cool how old photographs kind of, you try to match them up and you kind of discover things that are not there anymore. And yeah, that building had a balcony back in the day. I think this is the oldest photograph of this building here. So this is the angle right here. Next to the building that we've been looking at is this building over here. So it's been here for quite some time as well. There's been a lot of businesses that have come and gone. And back in the day, it used to be, it looks like Sadie's Drugs. So it used to be a drugstore. There's no old photograph of the whole building, but we can see here in the corner that this building was here back in the day. Now you can get some, you know, sorbet, gelatos, frozen yogurt, and so forth. But yeah, that's that building right there. Right there. All right, friends, now that we got a chance to take a look at some of the historic buildings in downtown Clermont, now we're going to be checking out Historic Village. Historic Village is a place where you can come see some of the historic buildings, historic houses from back in the day. I'm talking about 1885, it's back there, 1885, 1895, 1914, and so forth and so on. Very excited to get in there. Come join me. Let's go. This building that you see right here is the train depot for the city of Clermont. It was actually built in 1925, and you can actually do a picture in comparison right here. This section right here is actually this right there. You can kind of match up the pillars, and then you can see the staircase right there, which happens to be this right here. But this window here, you can also match up right here. You can match up these windows right there. Very cool. 1925. I also love how they have this railroad sign or lights. Very cool. So I'm gonna assume this is probably the railroad tracks kind of ran maybe this way. Not 100% sure. But over here, I love coming over here because it's very windy, very nice, feels very cool. But yeah, there's that sign right there. Very nice. All right, and I was able to sign in, and for that matter, note, you do have to sign in before you can visit any of these historic buildings. So that way they know that you're here and they can hold you accountable if anything happens. But they gave me this trifold, informational trifold, that gives you some information as to when these were built and so forth and so on. So this is very cool. Cool. So this is the old train depot from back in the day, and here it is right there, some photographs from back then. He did tell me that there's not a lot going on in here because this is usually where you check in. But look at that. You got some pieces of the old railroad track. Look at that. Just a machine shop there. There it is right there. Look at that. Look how different it used to be. There's that thing that we saw there on the front. Don't know what that is, but cool. Cool. This is the office, obviously, so we're not going to go in there. Cool. This house right here is called the Townsend House, and this house was built in 1895, way back in the day. And these steps lead up to the house. Man, I'm wondering how many people have actually walked through this. Amazing. Here's some information. The Townsend House, built 1895. And we're gonna take a look, obviously, in there, see what we can find. But this is so darn cool. I just love this type of stuff. just thinking back in the day, what people dressed like, how people were, and just, I love this type of stuff. You can see here. On the back of the house. So cool. Let's take a look back here. A little porch area. It's amazing how this house has been kind of intact for over 100 years. Actually 128 years to be exact. So it's just amazing. All right, come in here. Take a look at this, folks. This is awesome. Wow. See that spinning wheel? That is so cool. This is the home right here from back in the day, circa 1900s. Look at that. That's awesome.
What are they doing with the Harden house down there?
That's cool. Now, he did tell me that if I press this button,
welcome to the Townsend House,
so you get some information.
The first Americans of African ancestry to permanently settle in Clermont. They came from Orlando, an all-day trip by horse and buggy in those days. They immediately fell in love with the hills and the clear lakes that were the gems of the area. They put down deep roots in Clermont. The Townsends were quite the entrepreneurs. James established the first school for black children and opened a small general store. They started the St. Mark and Amy Church, which serves a congregation today. Sally became a midwife, helping deliver over 1,000 children, both black and white. Sally opened a maternity home for black women in 1941. She became known as Aunt Sally, and everyone from miles around knew the Townsends. They both lived into their 80s and left quite a legacy.
You can obviously hear some history of this home. And, you know, there are a lot of buttons across the home that you can press to get some information. This little balcony or deck from out there. Oh my goodness, there's just so much history here. So cool. This is the actual bathroom. Look at that, you got the old style razor. Wow. Look at that. Very old stuff. Cool. Look at the crib. Doesn't look very comfortable. Look at this bed. Doesn't look very comfortable at all. Kind of seems like it would feel like a hammock, kind of. Look at that. Just amazing. The shoes on there. Love what they did here. This is so awesome. So awesome. I love it. Obviously, let me just point out, back in the day, there was no security systems. And then this is the living room back in the day. Cool. Oh. It wasn't me. Abraham Lincoln was president back in the day. And then obviously you also had a second floor, but they do have it roped off that you cannot go, unfortunately. So this was the Townsend home. Here is what's called the Can House, and this one was built in 1883. 1883. Incredible. Which is obviously older than the Townsend house. There's the information right there. Built in 1883. Just amazing. Love that there. More gold. Door lock. Well, you got the newer one there. But that's amazing. I'm gonna walk around this building as well. This house. Kind of take a look around it. So cool. I'm wondering, once we go inside, I'm wondering if you can go to the second floor. But this is definitely a lot of history here. Very cool indeed. Please, there is no smoking here. We would not want to burn down history. Alright, now we're going to enter the current house, built in 1883. You can see here. Let's press on this button here, see what happens.
Welcome to the home of Alexander and Eleanor Kern. Mr. and Mrs. Kern were one of many brave families who came to Central Florida from New Jersey. They came for the available cheap land and the charming climate. The Kerns purchased 8 lots on Montrose Street and built this 2-story home in 1885 near the present-day First Baptist Church. Alexander and Eleanor also owned the Wilson General Merchandise Store, which was located on the corner of Montrose and 8th Street, and they operated it for over 10 years.
Look at this dining room. Here's the house. That's Mrs. and Mr. Kearns there.
This is our music room.
Okay. Oh, this is so nice.
This is a Thomas Edison phonograph that actually still works.
Oh, wow.
And we just ordered, apparently, so I've been told, because this canister is really pathetic, 2 new canisters, and I hope the songs are a little more nice ditties, because this is pretty bad. Let me lift this up here. I don't often see them working.
Oh, that is awesome, though.
we had a really cute one on there, and it cracked. You know, they're hard wax, and it cracked. Someone must have dropped this on us, and it cracked it. So we were madly trying to find a canister that you could actually listen to that doesn't skip or whatever. But that was the best of the bunch, and that's pretty sad. But okay, enjoy.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to the current house.
Amazing. Just a lot of history. Wow, amazing. You know, as she mentioned, a lot of this stuff was donated. This is not original, but it gives you an idea of how people lived back in the day. It's so cool. Look at this dollhouse. Amazing. Wow. My daughter would love to play with this. Ooh, look at this. That is so cool. Look at that. Wow. This is Miss S.O. Ware Beloved first grade teacher at Clermont Elementary in the early 1900s. Donated by Virginia Cahill. Look at that. Look at this. It's the same home right there. It's an actual newspaper clip. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. This room. Please consider my age and do not sit on it. Love that. Wow. It's an old sewing machine. Cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the next house. Let's listen to this.
Using a picture taken in 1881 as our guide, this is our attempt to build a replica of Clermont's first school, a hunting cabin which belonged to the Herring Hooks family. This cabin was located near Jack's Lake in the vicinity of the present intersection of highways 50 and 27. Mrs. Thomas J. Hooks was the first Clermont school teacher, having come here from Atlanta with her husband. She taught 12 students for a term of 4 or 5 months. Her pay was by contribution from the parents. The next year, the school was taken over by the county, and Mrs. Hooks was paid a salary of $20 a month. A one-room schoolhouse was built in the late 1880s on Bloom Street, on the site where the Clermont Women's Club building now stands. That building was enlarged to 2 rooms in 1913-1914. Additional information is available in the book Clermont Gem of the Hills, written by Marion Johnson and Rosemary Young in 1984 to celebrate Clermont's centennial.
A lot of history here, folks. This is a replica of what the school looked like back in the day. Amazing. Go ahead and walk inside the World War II museum. See what's in here.
Before the beginning of World War II, in March 1941, the military realized the need for structures that could be quickly transported and built if war should erupt. The Navy Construction Division, called the Seabees, was asked to design buildings to meet this need. In 2 months, the Quonset hut was designed and prototypes were built at Quonset Point Navy Base in Rhode Island. The first ones were 16 by 36 feet and could be erected in just 1 day by 8 men. As needs changed, 5 different designs were developed, and there were 86 different interior layouts. At the end of World War II, surplus building kits were sold to the public for $1,000, and many were purchased by returning military members and were used as their first home. This building, along with others in the Orlando area, was constructed in 1943 and was occupied by the A, B, and C batteries of the 224th Coast Artillery Searchlight Battalion in July 1943 after training in Fort Bliss, Texas. They continued more training here, and in January 1944 were shipped to Milne Bay, New Guinea, where they served in the Pacific area until war's end. The Wall of Honor on the west wall has replicas of dog tags with names of service people who served in World War II and lived in the South Lake area. The historic village salutes and honors those men and women who served our country, some of whom gave the ultimate sacrifice.
And yes, it was confirmed by Sarah over at the Kearns home that this is an original railroad signal. And she did mention that the railroad kind of traveled along this way, that way, there. So that is an original. All right, friends, so we came to the historic village, got to take a look around the Townsend home, Kearns home, the museum, the World War II museum. Very, very cool. I really, really enjoyed it. It was an awesome day, just looking at some of the history, some of the Clermont history. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like, consider subscribing. More content like this is coming soon. And so I'm gonna end this video like I always do. We came, we saw, and we conquered. And do me a favor, have a wonderful day. Peace.